and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about coral bleaching and the question I get asked the most. Is the Great Barrier Reef dying? And the answer to that is... No, it is not. Also, that bird really hates me. So, to talk about coral bleaching, we need to talk about what coral bleaching actually is. And to understand what that is, we need to understand what a coral is. Whilst many people think a coral would be similar to a plant, in fact, it is an animal, a colony of animals, in fact. So if you see a single stem of coral, it's actually millions upon millions upon millions of animals all working together to form a greater structure. Now, naturally, a coral is white. So why is it that we see colorful corals like yellow corals and red corals and green corals? Why do we see that? Well, it's because they have a symbiotic relationship with an algae that gives them their color. So a symbiotic relationship means that the two animals work together and they both benefit from it. In this case, the coral provides a home for the algae. So it's like, hey boys, we've got some free rooms. Well, some rooms, they're not free. Some rooms you guys can come chill out and you can be safe from all the predators and stuff. Come on in. The only thing that we ask is that you pay us some rent. Now, money is useless to coral, obviously. So what the algae do is they actually photosynthesize and give the coral food. So if a coral is happy, it's got heaps of algae in its cells, and the algae is photosynthesizing and doing its thing, it's vibing, it's enjoying itself, and it's converting carbon dioxide into oxygen and glucose, which allows the coral to live and chill and vibe and provide a home for all the fish around, and even sometimes food for some of the fish around. So that is the relationship between a coral and the algae. Now, coral bleaching is caused by essentially a stressor. So something has stressed out the coral, and it's often current events. Sorry. Oftentimes it's heat, but it can also be fresh water. So if there's been an excess of rain over the reef and there's not enough salt water, that can stress out the coral. But most catastrophic coral bleaching events happen from heat. So it's gotten too warm and essentially the coral stresses out because it feels sick. So when we feel sick, our body reacts by giving us a fever and our body temperature goes up. In a coral's case, it's like feeling sick. So it's telling all its mates in the rooms, get out, I can't deal with this right now. All of you need to leave. So it kicks out all the algae from the cells, which then causes the coral to starve because it doesn't have that rent being paid. The coral doesn't have the algae photosynthesizing and producing energy for it. So now it is in the starvation stage, which means the coral is white. It does not mean the coral is dead. It just means that the coral is white and it is going hungry. They do have little polyps that can grab little nutrients from the water, but it's not enough to keep a whole coral colony alive. Essentially, the time that the coral is bleaching, which means it is white, is a period of starvation, it's a period of grace. If the stressor does not go away, if the water temperatures remain high, which for corals is generally over 32 degrees, is getting in the danger zone. Now, each coral is different, as you can see by the videos. Some corals are white next to some corals that are okay. Every animal is different. Every animal is going to be more susceptible to things versus non-susceptible. It's called the genetic diversity of everything. That period of grace essentially is determined by the individual animal, but I think generally it's about 1 to 2 weeks before the coral begins to die. We don't want that to happen. So we've got 1 or 2 weeks for rain to come in, and sometimes even a cyclone, if it's really bad, to come in and pull all that water temperature out, relieve the coral of the stress, and allow the algae to come back into the cells. What you're looking at there is the coral's going, okay, guys, I'm not stressed anymore. Sorry, I overreacted. I didn't mean to kick you out. Can you come back in? I really need that rent now. I'm really getting a bit hungry. So then the coral will allow the algae to go back into its cells, and then everything is fine and happy.